Welcome back, everybody, to Bills Chat Live. I am not Josh. I am Luka. Josh has a little work obligation going on tonight, but after a last-second thing came up last week, we didn't want to go 2 weeks without a show. So to my left, your right, is friend of the show, friend of the program, friend of ours, Stokes. Stokes, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing good. No, it's going to be good. It's going to be good to have a new voice, a fresh face to this. You know, Josh and I have just been plugging away this season as the Bills are currently sitting 4-0 and now have a nice, lovely Sunday night game after a little bit of a flirty 1 o'clock Sunday, what you call it, friendly that turned into a little bit of a somewhat worry, but overall, Bills got through it. So we're back in the prime time light and kind of everything there. The exciting part about being back in prime time, Stokes, is, you know, when you are under the lights, when you are on NBC and everything like that, feels like you become naturally a little bit more of a focal point going into Sunday night games. You know, how do you feel? Does it feel amped up no matter what, even though it's a week 5 game? Do you feel like it kind of amplifies itself and kind of the importance of everything?
Absolutely. I think that it's the good and bad. If the Bills look great, then then the talking points for the next day on all the shows, you wanna hear some of the snippets. But if things don't go well, then you want to avoid that type of stuff. So I look forward to it because of the way the Bills are playing right now and the way they have been over the last couple seasons. It's exciting to see people talking about the Bills, and it's like all the work that we as fans put into this team, and that they're finally starting to it's to come to fruition. It's wonderful to be part of having so many primetime games, and you look forward to it throughout the day. And a lot of the other games are less meaningful because, oh man, the Bills are coming up, and that's a really, really great thing.
It really is. And, you know, for this one, the Bills are about to be in a little bit of a stretch here. They have the Sunday night game that we're about to talk about here. And then even next week, they have a Monday night game against Atlanta before they go into the bye. And both these games, Stokes, have one thing in common. The home team is going to be wearing an alternate uniform. Now, in the Bills' case, they're, of course, wearing these, we're just going to call them whiteout uniforms. I forget the exact term that they're using, but being that the Bills are even asking for fans to show up and try to create a whiteout environment to go along with these uniforms, you know, everything like that. I will say, as someone that's going to the game, I'm quite excited to see what the turnout will be like, because that feels a little bit more of a college-like situation. You don't see true fan whiteouts in pro leagues, let alone the NFL. So with these rivalry uniforms and the whiteout environment, what are your thoughts on it? Are you excited about it? Well, how do you feel about the Bills going not only all white at home, but to have these alternate uniforms that we're going to see with the rivalry series?
I mean, first of all, those jerseys and helmets are, whew, oh my goodness gracious! Like when they first got released, I was so hyped for them. But like trying to create like the college atmosphere, as you said, for an NFL game, I think that is something that's ambitious for a team, and I think that it is tapping into how most people feel about the Bills Mafia. It's like it's like nothing you've ever seen. So the Bills are trying to do something that you don't really see in the professional ranks, and it's even more different. Like when you see it at Penn State, at least Penn State's one of their colors is white. Like the Bills' primary colors are not white, so that's something that it's going to be interesting to see how many people adhere to it. I would expect that we're going to have many people in white, but I think there's going to be some of those people maybe that have like superstitions or things like that are going to stick to that, whatever it is, red, blue, whatever, and it'll not really tarnish it, but it will be different. It won't be completely white out like you would see at Happy Valley.
Yeah, I love the thing you bring up, because I honestly was going to follow up with this question. You know, how many people do you think that show up to games on a regular occurrence, or maybe once in a while, like even myself, just because I normally like my Sunday experience, but this one's a little different. And how many people are out there that are just going to be, hey, grab your blue Josh Allen jersey because that's the one you wear every week, things like that. And that's the kind of thing that it feels like I love you saying, not necessarily tarnish, but that's kind of what it is. It's going to take away from the purity of just a true whiteout, which you see it Penn State, of course, just happened with the Oregon game. You even see it at like the NHL sometimes. Just it's a smaller scale thing. It's easier to do. And a lot of times the team is handing out a white shirt for everyone to wear at the game in order to achieve that. The Bills are not going to be putting a white t-shirt on 70,000 seats for people to be wearing. That's just not practical for any reason. So it's going to be interesting to see truly what that balance is. I will say personally, I will be dipping into my white attire. I don't know exactly what to wear, though. As you pointed out perfectly, the Bills don't primarily put out things that are white. It's blue, really dominant. You have your red alternates, and then you have some throwback white stuff, but ultimately it's a secondary color. It's not anything that they ever primarily work with. So I will be intrigued by that. I am excited too for these uniforms and stuff like that. That will be something that's interesting to see in the stadium. Another thing, though, man, I just transitioned that perfectly. Another thing that will be very interesting to see in the stadium, Stokes, a friendly old facer, somewhat friendly old face, will be returning to the stadium this Sunday night. It will be the first time that Stefon Diggs is stepping foot in Highmark Stadium since he was traded. It's definitely the local story. I feel like it's not a national story as much, just because it's a couple of years separated at this point. He's already on his second team since being on the Bills, but it's still definitely one that is a story here in Buffalo. What's funny is going to this Sunday night game, and I'll kick it over to you in a second, but going to this Sunday night game, it's the first game he's going to be in. The memories I have is you would always, like, the games I always ended up going to were Monday night, Sunday night games. There was that Sunday night game years ago. I met up with you. You're in that end zone, and Stefon Diggs is throwing the ball in the stands and, interacting with the fans. And that's what I think of all the time with Stefon Diggs. So going back into the stadium now as the opposition, it's going to be a little bit strange, in my opinion, even though it is a little bit removed. How do you think it's going to be handled by fans? And then kind of what are your even feelings on Diggs's return and what could all transpire with him coming back to Highmark for the first time since traded?
I have what I think. I have what I think I have, and I have what I want, and they clash a little bit. What I want is for people to still embrace the fact that he is a really big part of the maturation and the development of Josh Allen, and we can embrace that we have the end product of that and what's going forward. But what I think is going to happen, people are going to focus on some of the negative aspects of a Stefon Diggs and the fact that they'll remember him holding his hands up to Josh Allen in the snow. Like they're going to remember all those things and see him as that diva type of wide receiver and not exactly embrace what he has done for the team or what he did for the team. And I think another part of it is that we haven't really replaced him. Like that what he did, what he does, it hasn't been replaced in 2 seasons, and we're still looking for that. I've heard you and Josh talk about it many times, but you still don't have that guy. Like, hey, we know this is man, this is press man. Is this guy going to get open 7 yards? We need 7. Is he going to get us 7? And right now, I'd still take Stefon Diggs over anyone over the roster right now. And that's what I think is part of one of the issues that we have as a fan base, is that that hole hasn't been filled, and whether he's lost a step or not, that's probably verifiable, but he's still a guy that you're gonna trust to get open because he's that great of a route runner. And I just hope that we as fans treat him well, because he was a really, 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 really big part of what Josh Allen has become.
Man, it is interesting. You would like to hope that will be a large majority. And I say that as I also hope that is what it is. I feel the best case scenario for Diggs himself is the fact that this isn't the year after. This is 2 seasons after now. I think that will help things a little bit, because there's just going to be a general fan base or section of the fan base that is definitely one that would be a little bit more of an emotional reactionary type. And since you're already a little bit more removed, you're not going to get that kind of negative reaction from those types. So then really you're just going to have a lot of the fans that just have those fond memories that they latch onto as you bring up, with the height and peak of Josh Allen at that time and kind of what Diggs did for him and this team in general. You would like to hope that kind of comes through a little bit more. I do think though, for instance, when that first walkout happens in warmups and stuff, and the individuals are just kind of lingering around the stadium at that time, you'll have, I don't know, 10,000 in there, maybe if that. When he first comes out, I think you might hear a little bit. If you're watching at home during the pregame when they're inside the stadium doing things, you might hear a little bit of boos and stuff, because I think that's when it will happen a little bit more. But then as things happen, I don't think it'll linger into the game, because the game will just take over. You're not really too concerned with Diggs. Diggs isn't even like the true focal point of the Patriots, for instance, and we'll get into that in a second. But ultimately, I would love to hope that even those boos early on don't come, or they're not as apparent, because I feel even with who Diggs is as a person, who he was to the Bills and who he was as a player, ultimately was a lot of positive things and really did a lot for putting us in the position that we are. And then he is almost, as you said it perfectly, a perfect reminder of we don't have that alpha dog anymore on this offense. And there are times where you'd really just like that go-to guy that could just take over outside of Josh Allen. And we can kind of put James Cook, but of course he's not doing that at the boundary. He's doing that in the backfield. So it's a little bit of a different feel to it. Getting into it, the game itself a little bit, Stokes, before we go into injuries, breaking down the Patriots themselves, we're here on Wednesday. The game this past Sunday now is multiple days removed. Josh and I talked a little bit about, was there truly concerns, worries about the defense, the offense not being able to dominate what feels like a nameless Saints defense, things of that nature. Is there anything still sitting there of a concern, worry, just kind of question mark, whatever you want to call it? Is there still something on your mind that's still lingering there from the Saints game, now sitting here midweek Wednesday, as we are now focusing on the Patriots Sunday night game?
I'd like to think not. I'd like to think that, this week would be really good in the film room as a reminder, like, hey, you guys can't sleepwalk through these games. You can't sleepwalk through these moments. You got a team that just played well. They just scored however many points they just scored. If you sleepwalk like you slept walk through this game against the Saints, we're going to lose. And I think that will be something that could be echoed throughout the week of preparation. And the Bills, they tend to prepare for the Patriots pretty well, and that's sort of what I'm expecting. But it just seems like in all the games that we've seen so far, there are just lulls in the offense. It stretches for 2 or 3 drives, and then the Bills are, oh, wait a minute, we're actually pretty good, so let's go ahead and be good. And I don't want for that to be something that happens, but it's football, so any 3-play stretch, the defense can win, and I think that's something that we have to understand. And, just one drive is not going to kill the game. 2 drives aren't going to kill the game. The Bills are still good. But I don't think that we're going to have the same level of sleepwalkiness, I suppose, based on how the Patriots just came out, how they played, understanding, what type of team they are, everything that encompasses the Patriots. Like we want to keep them down because we understand what it was like to be under the Patriots' thumb for 20 years.
Yeah, what's funny, and I'm going to ask you a question here in a second, is I heard something very interesting through, I want to say it was on X at some point in time. It was a Patriots media folks talking about the Bills, and I will ask this question as well, but there's a couple questions here for you, Stokes. They were talking about, are the Patriots, and this is where it started from, are the Patriots yet approaching where the Bills are? The answer in them was no, emphatically. They're just not there. We're different tiers at this moment in time. Of course, any individual can see that, but the conversation eventually led itself into talking about the Saints, the Dolphins game prior to that, and even the Jets game before that, where even the Jets on the box score appears dominant at the final score line, but also when you really dig into that box score, and then the Dolphins and Saints games as well, they haven't been the most impressive performances, but they're also the wins. And I love this. And I'll ask you this question real quick. Did it feel as if like the Bills were getting, and I don't want to say bored because that's just disrespectful to the NFL as a whole, but just it almost feels as if they're multiple tiers above all of these teams. And it's, do you feel as if they just don't feel challenged enough in certain moments where that just brings them down a little bit? Because these Patriots, media folks and stuff made it kind of joking, but it also felt like they were pulling from the peak years of the Patriots, where even sometimes in those games, they weren't necessarily stepping on the throat all the time because it just felt like a repetitive thing over and over. You're playing the 3-13 Titans or the 5-11, whatever. It's like, you're just playing these, I mean, lack of a better term, dog shit teams. It can get a little bit old from time to time, and you almost need to be challenged again. Do you think there's a little bit of that, this recent stretch of games for the Bills at all?
I definitely do think that. I think going into the Dolphins game, as many times as the Bills and Josh have beaten the Finns, it's like, okay, well, no matter what we do, they're going to find a way to lose. They're going to find a way to lose the game, and I think something like that can get into the back of your head where you're not as, you're a little bit. See, I don't want to say lackadaisical because you can't go out there and play a play and really right. Truly be lackadaisical. That'll get you hurt. But it just seems like there are just times where it's brain farts. And when you think about the Finns and they're going to find a way to lose, and then when you think about the Saints, hey, it's week 4, we're already laying 14.5. Like, players can't really avoid that type of thing. So it's like they're going to get rocked. They're going to lay. We're going to hit them in the mouth a couple times. And they're going to lay down, and then they get into the game. They're like, "Oh man, these are NFL players. They're actually trying to play." And if you're just not hitting them the same way, it's going to be one of those types of things. And I think that this is a good enough team to where they wouldn't feel that way. And, it sort of felt that way in reverse week 1 against the Ravens. Like, we came out there and the Ravens are like, oh, Derrick Henry's pretty good. And then the Bills turned it around. They realized, okay, we can play with these guys. We can turn things around. But I think that the Patriots are a good enough team to where that won't be the issue. But at these 3 games prior, I can see a playing with their food mentality very frequently.
Yeah, I love the way you just capped that off, playing with their food. It kind of did have that feel. I even mentioned in our pod earlier this week that it just felt, you even questioned the amount of game preparation they had going into that Saints game, just because early on, I mean, Roy brings it up perfectly here. Wrong one. My apologies. Sometimes Brady's sequence of play calling can be head scratching. It even felt like there wasn't there wasn't really a known structure or plan of what they wanted to do with the play calling. It truly felt like a Madden, just you're going through your plays. Oh, this one looks fun, whatever it is. At times you would like to believe that that's not the case, but also at the same time, that thing can creep in your head where you understand you are serious levels above this opponent. And yes, you need to still put your A effort in to truly dominate. But realistically, do you have to do it to still get by? Because at the end of the day, a win's a win, no matter how you get it. And that's all the Bills are truly concerned about. Get out healthy and win. That's the bottom line, all that matters. So I agree with you as well. Looking ahead at this Patriots game, it feels as if the Saints game might have been the perfect storm of situations where you won kind of comfortably, yet not comfortably enough that it should be able to allow the coaching staff to regain their focus, make sure they understand the task at hand. And you're going into a spotlight game against a divisional opponent, a rising divisional opponent, be that. And they're also hot as hell right now, coming off a dominant win against the Panthers at home, that you need to be on your A game for that. So hopefully that recenters their focus. Kind of looking at it now, though, I will dip into the injury report, at least for where it is here, Stokes. Spencer Brown, Ed Oliver, Matt Milano. 3 individuals that missed that Saints game, all practice today, limited, but still practice. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this situation, because I know Josh and I seem to align a lot when it comes to how we like to handle injuries. It's week 5, divisional opponent, essentially a game, as weird as it sounds, that could kind of put the first pile of dirt on the coffin for the division already. But it really kind of is that if you already knocked off one win over all 3 of these opponents, even though it is week 5, you have Spencer Brown potentially back. You have Ed Oliver and Matt Milano. How do you feel about handling these injuries for this game, especially with understanding you have one more game and then the bye week coming up, where Ed Oliver, they've already had missing for 3 weeks, Matt Milano, something similar, and Spencer Brown, it's a calf injury. It's not a back injury. So I will just put the caveat of normally he has his back concerns, being a calf injury. I'm just interested to see what that one means. But how would you handle these kind of going into this big matchup?
So I think in a situation where so when I hear calf injury, calf is not far from the Achilles. So that would make me very, very nervous if a calf has any sort of, hey, are we at any risk here? If it's just a calf where Achilles is not in play, then maybe we risk it a little bit. But I think this is an important enough game because it is a division game, because we can put that into the air. Everyone in the AFC East, hey, we're already 3 games up on all of you guys essentially, and also, those Chiefs look pretty good. So they're 2 games behind us right now. So we can't go in a situation where we got games in hand, that type of thing, and risk having guys losing games or losing guys, I guess, in situations where we shouldn't. I would put the guys out there who are close enough. I would treat this as an important game, as it always is in the NFL, because we want to get the division locked up as quickly as we can, get the conference locked up if it's possible, as quickly as possible. That way we can worry about the rest then. But if there's a situation where the compound of an injury could be catastrophic, then I wouldn't want to risk that type of guy. So a calf that I wouldn't want to risk it if there's any sort of involvement potentially with an Achilles.
The one that really stands out to me, Stokes, is actually the Ed Oliver injury. What I find intriguing about it is he's already missed 3 weeks now, and he's limited practice. He's coming back. It's an ankle injury, and there's discussions on if he should play or not. And my immediate thought goes to, well, if he's not going to play this week, and I believe Josh even tweeted this out from our Twitter, if he's not going to play this week, why didn't you throw him on IR in the first place? Like if that's truly what it was, and he wanted to be overly cautious with this, why not just put him on IR immediately? Stuff like that. Now, the caveat to that is he wouldn't have been able to even ramp up this week in practice. He would have had to have waited at least 1 more week for that to be possible. And then on top of it, maybe you can get some limited reps out of him in the game to this week and next week, get into your bye week. And then maybe from there, it's all systems go. That's the one that really stands out to me, though, because yes, I'm with you on Spencer Brown. Calf injury, especially for the big boys. Any of the big boys have a calf injury. I personally, for me, it's kind of like you better be at 90%. Like you better be very comfortable with where it stands. The medical staff better be very comfortable, because they are big human beings, and that muscle, and that especially the Achilles, it doesn't exist. You can't work that thing out very much. You can't do a lot for it. And if you're already laboring a little bit or overcompensating because of this, that can lead to catastrophic things. Yes. We can't be risking having Spencer Brown out for long term. Look, I think what is it? Vandermark was filled in for him last week. There's a reason Ryan Vandermark is not a starter in this league, and no disrespect to him. I think he held up perfectly fine in the situation that he did, and potentially will be again this week. It's definitely not a situation I want him in there for more than 1 to 2 weeks. So Spencer Brown's probably the one early on. Hopefully it gets better soon and he can play this week, but at the same time, that's probably the one individual that I'd be overly cautious with. And then just Ed Oliver and Matt Milano will just have a little bit of a lens on and stuff like that. Going into it, though, with all the healthy player stuff, what's a looking at the Bills group and understanding who the Patriots are, what's a group on the offensive side? Where do you think the actual matchup can be won in this game on the offensive side for the Bills versus this defense? Because we're used to the Patriots being kind of that stout, fundamentally sound defense that can truly take away your best option and or do that. Of course, that's Belichick days, but even afterwards, they still generally had an okay defense. Where do you stand when it comes to the Bills offense that you're going to be keeping an eye on and really feel that that is something that we should hopefully see success against these Patriots come Sunday night?
I think that fortunately for us, I suppose, wide receiver wise, we don't have to worry about, hey, Christian Gonzalez is going to erase somebody. And we don't have to worry about that so much because there isn't that alpha that we've discussed. So I think that works in the Bills' advantage in a situation like this, because, hey, okay, we see Christian's over there, right? So he's on Keon. Okay, well, we don't have to worry about we don't have to force the key on or whatever. And he probably won't line up too much on Shakir. So that's something that I think we would have an advantage there. In the way Dalton's been playing, like if we can continue the improvements that way, I do think that the way that the ball has been spread out, it puts us in an advantage, especially with the fact that as long as that continues to happen, James Cook's going to continue to have the holes he has. So it's going to help hand in hand. And I think the advantage is there against their secondary.
That great point. The interesting thing to me is the Patriots have a situation right now where their front line, their defensive line, whoever they're putting on the ground, whether they're in their base 3-4 or they're coming out in nickel packages because the Bills are coming out in a lot of 11 personnel. What I find interesting is that their defensive line actually has some guys on it. Barrymore and Landry III, those are some quality defensive linemen for them. But then when you really look at that next level and then the secondary, I mean, it's a tough watch if you're a Patriots fan, and it's a beautiful thing if you're anyone playing them. When one of your best players is Bob Spillane, former Raider legend, it feels like, just as tongue in cheek, but he is one of your better defenders right now. And then their safeties are kind of leave you wanting more. As Bills fans, we like to criticize our safeties, but finally at least one of ours made a big play in a big moment last week that we're feeling a little bit more comfortable. Theirs are not doing that as such. And I would say, other than Christian Gonzalez, who I know you and I are big fans of, other than him, there's really no one else to be excited about, because even like a Marcus Jones, he is like not there to be a corner per se. He is their returner that also will just fill in at nickel and do things. He's fast, he's dynamic, things like that. He's not exactly the best defender in the world, but he is definitely a quick, twitchy guy where he is more of an impact as a returner. We saw it last week, take him house one against the Panthers. He is always a threat there. You're not truly concerned about him. I will say Kincaid and Shakir, this feels like a game to me where inside the numbers, you will see a little bit more going on, because these linebackers that I mentioned before and the safeties, that's one that I just, for the Patriots, I don't see their answers to any of that. I imagine that the Bills are going to go back. They got away from 13 personnel a little bit more last week. They didn't want to go too tight end heavy. I don't know why that was the case last week. You just didn't see it nearly as much. It feels like one where they're going to go back to that because they understand the boundary. Christian Gonzalez is probably going to take away, as you brought up, Keon Coleman or Palmer or whoever. And that truly doesn't matter to the Bills per se. Just you almost just want to keep Gonzalez busy. It's like giving your dog a toy to get away a little bit. It's like, hey, go chew on this for a little bit. Have fun. Mind your own business. We're trying to do other things over here. You're doing that with Gonzalez, and then it's kind of figure it the rest out. You want to get Spillane and Ellis moving, stuff of that nature. It's just, that seems like the successful place for the Bills offensively, that I would. It's such a weird feeling. Stokes, is it weird that we live in a reality that the Patriots are a team that I am head over shoulders much more concerned about the offense than the defense. It is one where the offense has some things to it. They can do some things. They have a promising young quarterback. And then you look at their defense, it's like, I don't even understand how they hold anyone under 28 points. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, how's it feel with how scarred we are that the Patriots right now are fielding the team that they are, where this defense is just question marks across the board?
I just don't know. I mean, I love this reality we are living, but sometimes it is still shocking and jarring, especially when you think their coach as well. Like he came from the Belichick tree, and that whole that tough mindedness, even when he was when he coached the Titans. It's like this. How is this our reality? But I love it. It's just it's so great to see. Oh yeah, their food. So we're gonna be good. And I don't know. It's a great time to be a Bills fan right now. I enjoy it, and we understand how sports is cyclical, and this is how the Patriots are feeling during the Bills drought years when they saw the Bills fielding teams, some of the teams we had to field, and it's just I don't know. It brightens my day thinking that the Patriots are suffering, although they have the bright spots, but they're suffering on defense.
Big time. They're absolutely suffering on defense. I brought it up though. On offense, the Patriots are an interesting one. So I will say, first off, right off the bat, your opinion of Drake May through 4 weeks. Are you impressed with him? There's a lot of conversation out there a little bit right now with his numbers looking very good, comparable with Josh Allen. Again, it's comparing numbers to numbers. It's not player to player. Let's just get that one out of the way. But that aside, Drake May has impressed you, yes or no, so far this season?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, he has played very well. He's a talented thrower of the football, and he is athletic. So that makes you. I was hoping that we were going to go into a good deal of years where all the quarterbacks have enough holes to where the Bills will just stay head and shoulders above, and it looks like the Finns they're still done, but the Patriots like their quarterback he's got that mentality in him, and he idolized Cam Newton growing up, which is interesting as well. So when you have a guy that can throw the ball as well as he can, and have the model his game sort of after an athletic quarterback, and had so many similarities to Josh Allen, it's like, all right, I see you, but hopefully, Josh continue. Sit down, young chap. There are still levels to this, and it's nice to see good quarterback play, but not so nice that it's on the Patriots.
Well finished. Yeah, it's not as nice that it's on the Patriots, but I will say, just as a football fan, I too am kind of impressed with where Drake May is progressing, especially with the lack of boundary weapons and kind of the compliments around him. He seems to be doing a good job. Real quick, Roy's, considering the Patriots defense, do y'all think Allen's going to be throwing the ball more this week? Kind of, we touched on it a little bit here, Roy, before, where I think both Stokes and myself share the sentiments where it's like, hey, they do have Christian Gonzalez, who is coming back from an injury as well himself. I do believe he played last week, but he's still ramping himself back up. And outside of him, though, they just don't have answers for anything. So with that, and then the defensive line being not too shabby for the Bills, the question mark with Spencer Brown potentially at right tackle, where you'll probably still be able to dominate the line of scrimmage overall, but maybe just not get as much push as you would like in the run game. You're probably going to be able to do whatever you want, but it could be one where, at least early on, they're trying to create a lot of confusion with the secondary and the linebackers in the passing game, and at least get them moving, because, look, Bob Spillane he's not exactly known for running, for instance, and these safeties aren't exactly the best coverage safeties either. They're willing tacklers that just struggle a little bit with a lot of movement, motion, and having a lot of kind of horizontal movement that, it feels like one where you could easily see that happening. So kind of to answer your question, Roy, yeah, I personally would feel that way, but we'll have to see how it transpires, because it feels like you could do a lot of different things to this Patriots defense, in all honesty. So outside of Drake May, though, back to the Patriots offense, and then Bills defense for that matter, The one thing I will say is Drake May seems to be doing a really good job, as I mentioned already, with a lack of boundary weapons and everything like that. Is this, do you expect Drake May to continue the success he's had when considering he's been playing the likes of the Raiders week 1, or last week it was the Panthers? He's now going to be up against Joey Bosa, Daquan Jones, potentially at Oliver coming back, Greg Rousseau, the Bills defensive line that they have to offer with everyone else around who are a little bit more of a step up defensively. Do you think the Bills defense is going to be able to create enough confusion to get him off of his game? Or do you think potentially that Drake May, after having a full offseason under his belt, kind of truly understanding what's going on, maybe having a better, more suited play caller for him right now in New England, do you think that the Bills defense is going to be able to keep up with now a second year Drake May? Or do you think Drake May might be able to continue this trend that the Bills defense unfortunately has happening for them, where it's just the living on the struggle bus, but thank God you have 17 on the other side to kind of bail you out most of the time?
I would love to say that I have a lot of faith in the defense on Sunday, but unfortunately I have seen far too much where they don't get there in time. They cause a little bit of pressure, and it was like, oh, he's gonna get it, and then the ball gets out. And I think that we're likely to see a little bit more of that. Although I have been more than impressed with the way Joey Bosa has played, so I am super duper excited for what he's going to be going forward. But I think that we will be able to affect him so in many ways, but I don't think that it's going to be. I don't think we're going to leave that game thinking, okay, we won the line of scrimmage on the defensive side, and Drake had no idea what to do. I think he's still going to find a way to make things happen, and it's going to be a close enough game, and Drake is going to do a couple things that really frustrate the Bills and frustrate us as fans as we're watching, because he's going to play. I expect him to play well, especially coming off of how he just played, along with understanding, hey, these are the bullies on the block, so I'm going to go out there and try to punch them in the face before they punch me. So I would expect that he's going to come out there and be really excited, and I don't think he's going to wilt to the moment.
That's I kind of go back and forth on this one, because this is where I think Drake May is capable of doing everything you just laid out. Where I think Drake May might get a little bit concerned is he doesn't exactly have the tackle play that's going to keep him upright often. I think Will Campbell, rookie at left tackle, I think he's also banged up just a little bit right now. I don't think it's anything that's going to keep him out of the game. I believe he was even a full participant this today in practice, but he is a little bit banged up. And then you also have a we'll call him a very, very aged veteran in Morgan Moses over there on the right tackle. It's amazing that he's still a starting tackle in this league. Credit to him, man. Just keep doing it. But your tackles are there. And you mentioned Bosa. This feels like another potential moment for us to be reminded just how special Bosa is. I don't think Bosa's been bad any week, but I think, the last time we really truly saw the dominant Bosa was week 2 against the Jets. This feels like another one of those potential opportunities for Bosa to really step up and cause chaos, really, when it comes to just dominating Moses. And the Patriots don't even really have that true tight end that could, I honestly believe, help with that. I mean, you have Hunter Henry. I believe Austin Hooper is also there. These are pass catching tight ends. These are guys that want to get out in space. They might help you with the chip. You're not going to be throwing them in. They're not a Jackson Hawes, that's for sure. And they really don't even feel like a Dawson Knox type, where you could potentially be like trusting them to hold that edge, figure it out with the help, and keep it at bay. So I will be intrigued by that. I will say where I have any inkling of worry, Stokes, and I will ask you the same, is this running game or the running threat that the Patriots possess somehow Ramondre Stevenson, for one, is still a thing. I don't quite understand that. It felt like it was finally gone. And then we were also going to see this new up and coming back that is actually the one I am concerned with. It just feels like everyone other than the Patriots want to utilize the hell out of him. Travion Henderson is an absolute dynamic beast back there for the Patriots, and they somehow are still using Antonio Gibson. What I will give the credit to the Patriots for is they do seem to understand exactly what they need to get out of the run game to fully get the potential out of Drake May in the passing game going as well. They are truly using it as a primary focus to then complement the passing game and open that stuff up. The classic, use the run game to open up the pass game. That's what it feels like the Patriots offense is. Do you have any worries, especially considering that the Bills defense is for years now known not to be a willing run defending team? I'm just going to put it very bluntly like that. I'm not saying that they just don't care about it, but at the same time, they haven't been really successful against the run ever. So let's just call it what it is. Do you have any concerns that there is a real path for the Patriots run game to control this game enough to truly make it uncomfortable as we even get into the fourth quarter and such, where this is a one-score game and you're not fully comfortable that the Bills will ever be able to control and see it out from that standpoint, and they actually will just impose their will on the ground?
1000%. That is by far my biggest worry. And I know I've been talking up Drake May, but my biggest worry is how it is second and three. Second and three, second and three, second and three. Like that is my biggest worry. That they're not going to be able to tackle well enough. They're not going to be able to get enough penetration well enough in the run game to stuff and put him in obvious passing situations. And that is very detrimental to the defense. One, because the quarterback is in advantageous situations, and two, 17's on the sideline. So like that's all, both of those things working with one another. If you limit the amount of possessions that the Bills have on offense, you're gonna make this game more and more tight, and the variance is just not gonna be there. So if they're able to sustain drives, if they're able to keep the Bills on their heels with whether it's play action or whether there's getting Travion on the edge, he's making the guy miss, or whether Ramondre is able to just fall forward for 4 yards, even though he was hit at the line of scrimmage. If we're not creating those stuffs, those negative plays, it's going to keep them balanced. It's going to keep them in a situation where they feel like they are the aggressors, and it's going to take so much time off the clock. And that is definitely my biggest worry. I mean, going into just about any game, if we can't stop the run, if we can't get them into 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, it's gonna be a long day for the defense. Because I love Terrell Bernard, and I know you guys have mentioned it many times. Like he's slim. He's not a big guy. He's not Tremaine Edmonds. So if he gets caught by a guard, he's going backwards, and then that's the problem.
Yeah, it's Terrell Bernard in the run game is not exactly instilling confidence when it's inside and stuff like that. All right, Stokes, we're here. We're about 43 minutes in. I'm going to ask you a very simple question here. This can be, throughout the week leading into the game. This can be during the game, whatever it is. What is the one thing going into this that you think is the biggest, we'll call it sway point? And what I mean by that is the one matchup, whether it's receiver on corner, offensive line to defensive line, individual basis, maybe it's an injury focus. What is the one thing outside of Josh Allen and Drake May? Quarterbacks are quarterbacks, so we're just going to put them to the side here. What's the one thing that you think can sway your opinion of how this matchup and how this game is going to go?
How much time Dorian Strong plays versus Trey White playing? How many times I see Trey White's sitting 10 yards off Keyshawn Boutte because he's afraid, hey, he's going to beat me deep. Like if he's that afraid, just get him off the field. I love Trey White. I just want to preface it all. I love Trey White. He's one of my favorite players of the last 10, 15 years. I love him. But if he's going to play that far off, just go ahead and put the other guy in. There's no point in saying, hey, if you got offense wants 7 yards, have the guy run up, turn around, it's 7 yards. I don't want that. I love Trey White. I love Trey White. If if Dorian Strong is playing and playing well, like when he played in game one, like he had one holding, I think, in that game.
Yeah.
But he held his own enough. Like he got caught up on that drag play that Zay Flowers, but anybody would have been caught up in that play.
Correct.
That
Yeah.
was just he was meant to lose on that play.
Yeah.
So I'd rather him out there trying to learn, trying to make mistakes, trying to be something, rather than seeing Trey White play so timidly, because that's not the player that I fell in love with.
I love everyone's reaction to Trey White. It feels universal. It's like, we love this guy. Also would love to see him not on the field. It's one of those things where you truly don't want to offend the player because of just who he was for this organization for so long. But at the same time, it's a consensus. Like, everyone sees it. It's like, please do not have an individual that is a free 7 yards. Like, that is just, it's unacceptable to a level that is like, can we just do anything else? Because then, as you put it perfectly, if Dorian Strong's out there giving up 7 yards, at least I know we have someone that's physically capable of maybe doing something better than giving up that 7 yards. And it just feels like with Trey White at this moment in time, he should be out there for prevent defense of just keeping things in front of him. That's what he's good for. He is a great tackler. I will say, like, you still see it each week. If it's in the run game and you need him to step up because it's on the boundary, he is still a willing tackler. He's able to even get off his man and make the tackle happen. We've seen it in a handful. We saw it in the Jets game. I think we even saw it again in the Saints game. It's like, there are those moments where you're like, this is why Trey White's still on the roster. This is why he's a McDermott guy, things of that nature. That's great. But for the majority of the game, I'm with you. I will say it's the same thing. It's kind of, I was hoping you were going this way because it's the one last item really about this game that we just didn't highlight. This needs to be the game where we finally see a little bit of a movement off of Trey White into something else. I think the Saints game was enough and it's in a long line. The Dolphins game was another, so on and so forth, where it's like Trey White just is not cutting it when it comes to starting opposite of Christian Benford. It's not going to work. It doesn't matter who you have across from him. It can be in this game, it could be Boutte, it could be Mac Hollins. They will get their yards. And if Mac Hollins is dicing you up, all respect to Mac Hollins and everything he was somehow capable of doing with the Bills, he shouldn't be doing that against the Bills. That is just unacceptable to have Mac Hollins cutting you up in the secondary. So I would love to see that. I will say Johnson on Diggs is just to even put them together. I'm not exactly thrilled if they truly do a nickel corner on slot guy and Diggs does line up primarily slot. That is a matchup that I think the Patriots as well, that's one that could sway a little bit more in the game. That I just, those are the two guys, Trey White and Tremaine Johnson. It's like, just, can we do something else with these guys that takes them out of those just strictly matchup positions that we don't keep losing on? So yeah, I think ultimately I will say let me do a Josh-like question here. Scale of 1 to 10, Stokes. What would you say your comfortable level is with this game and the Bills getting a win come Sunday night against the Patriots?
I would say about a 8.5. I feel pretty confident. I feel confident. I can't say a 10. I can't even go 9, just because, as I mentioned, if they're in 2nd and 3 all day, it's gonna be tough. I still think the Bills are gonna put up 28, 30 points. I think that's still locked in. But it's just the variance. I can't have the variance.
The variance is great. You're a little bit more confident than me. I'm a 7.5 this week. I will say, I think we're at the point where teams know who they are. I think they're comfortable. And that can get even more dangerous when you're playing a divisional rival who just feels like they have nothing to lose and everything to gain from this game. There are those places where they can control things a little bit. And it's a little bit more than you would like being a Super Bowl contender in yourself. But ultimately, we talked about Trey White and that matchup situation. We talked about the run game, stuff like that. I mean, on any given day, of course, anything can happen. But on top of it all, when you have the situation of basically division rival coming into your house and feeling like they're playing with house money, things could open up a little bit for them because they're just relaxed in the sense of just trying to make stuff happen. And if it doesn't work, so be it. We're expected to lose anyways.
Right.
That can be a dangerous tool for a team like the Patriots who are on the up. So I will say I give it a 7.5. But we will see how this week progresses for the Bills and Patriots and things like that. I will say I'm very, very excited going back to what we started with. I'm just excited the most about the aesthetics and just how it's going to look on the field and just the all white, hopefully, knock on wood, it's a true white out in the stands and stuff. Looking around the league though, Stokes, this is, I will say, I'm going to this game Sunday night and I was like, oh, I wonder what Sunday games I'm going to be missing. And when you really start to look at this NFL slate of week 5, is there even a game? Let me just start it with that. Is there even a game you think is very exciting when it comes to watching? Is what around the league are you looking forward to when you look at this slate? Anything at all?
I mean, really only if we know Jaden Daniels is playing Commanders versus Chargers. If we know that is the only game out there that I see that would be like appointment style viewing. I know Broncos Eagles, but that's I'm the only game that I like. Okay, well, I think I'd like to watch that one. Would be Commanders Chargers.
It's really a tough slate. It is. When last week felt like it was actually a pretty solid slate. Overall this week. Yeah, I mean, you have some doozies. I will say Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo elevate Giants at Saints just a little bit, but boy, is that one a tough one. I mean, I don't know what we're doing in these international games, not to get on a high horse too much, but having the Vikings take on the Browns in London, if you're really trying to showcase your game here, having Dylan Gabriel make his first career start in London with that Browns team against the Vikings, which, look, even at full health, it was JJ McCarthy as a rookie, essentially. Come on, guys, we just need to do better than that if the thing that matters the most is showcasing the game. That's a tough one. I mean, there's one that's close to home a little bit with me, Titans at Cardinals. That is, I'm going to be frank, I'm not going to be paying too much attention to that one because that is not going to be much of a view and everything like that. I just, final point is, like, sometimes when you go to a game, Stokes, it feels like you made the right call when you just look around the league, and it's like I would be sitting at home watching all these games. But I will end it with this. Is there any sort of early bet? And I will say I got a couple myself, but is there any early bet lines, anything betting tip wise you'd like to put out there in the space for anyone that watches this and likes, should keep an eye on for their card?
So I think the Bills team total is 27.5. I want to say.
Yeah, it's a good number. Go ahead and
take that over. Take that over. They're going for at least 28. So 28-30. Take the Bills over. But if we're going non-Bills, let's say we're going non-Bills. I think I'd be comfortable. So I think I'd be comfortable with going with the Eagles. If you take the Eagles against the Broncos, it just seems like they have been playing with fire all year, except for when they play a team that apparently quit. So I don't think they're going to have enough for the Eagles. Now, the Eagles, their passing game doesn't look all that fantastic, but their running game is still really good, and they still have Jalen Hurts, and that defense is still good. And they're only laying 3.5. So those would be the two that I'd be flirting with. But Bills over 27.5, I would lock that one in.
Bills at 27.5. I love seeing that number. I just think that's a beautiful one. They don't exactly settle for field goals as it is. So it's, you don't feel like you need to worry too much about that 27 rather than 28 or, 30, whatever it is. So yeah, I don't hate that. But then Eagles is a good one. It feels like the Eagles are just a complete team and the Broncos are a little bit hit or miss, sputtery at times. It's not exactly what some others might have felt was going to be happening with the second year of Bo Nix. Others might have felt that this was kind of inevitable, especially when you consider who they played last year and how those results went. I'm going to leave it with this. I am blown away that the Buccaneers are 3.5-point dogs at Seattle. I get that Seattle is looking good. They're on a long, technically like a mini bye week, as they had the Thursday night game against the Cardinals. Sam Darnold looks great and JSN looks awesome. It's like, if there is a time for Sam Darnold to look like a pumpkin like he has been in the past, it's against a Todd Bowles defense that's also, I mean, look, the only game they might have not been able to hold their own was that Eagles game. And even then, if you truly look under the hood of that Eagles game, the Buccaneers defense wasn't half bad. They were just put in some bad positions, and ultimately the Eagles were able
to the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. It's, and you're playing the Eagles as well, and the Buccaneers defense, and all credit in the world, kept that team in the game just enough for finally Baker Mayfield to be chirped at by Sirianni, and then all of a sudden unleash himself a little bit and get that thing close. So I think this Buccaneers team impresses me every week. And the fact that you're getting them at plus 3.5 in Seattle, which has long gone been a place that it used to be great and hard to play. Now it's like they're a better road team right now, currently, the Seahawks, than a home team. And that's just a weird situation. I think there just needs to be a little bit more of a regression with this Seahawks team. I love paying attention to that Buccaneers because it does feel like one as well, where I don't know where the tickets lie at the moment, but it feels like one that people may be laying on the Seahawks a little bit more. I know that the Bucs will have to cross the country in order to go to that one. It's a very far travel, but I Baker Mayfield is a dog. The Buccaneers, Buccaneers are a machine. Like I know Bucky is in a walking boot right now. I'm just going to say this. I love Bucky to death. They can still get by with Tucker Kraft and Rashad White. I think they rotate them in enough. They're not dogs like Bucky, but they can still get by. And Emeka Egbuka is going to be your offensive rookie of the year. So there's just a lot to love with this Buccaneers team. That's one I like. But Stokes, it was fun doing this tonight.
Yes, sir.
Weird being in the host chair a little bit here. Hopefully anyone watching, you sense the little bit of a strange voice in the host chair. But Josh and I will be back Sunday night, Monday morning for your ears to talk all. Well, no, actually, sorry, man, I almost did that out of routine. We will be back Monday, I believe, afternoon, since I will be at the game. As everyone's aware, I know even Roy said it. Damn Sunday night games, got to be at 4:30. Being at the game, you don't even get home until close to 1 o'clock at times, depending on the traffic. So I took off the next day in order for us to, well, one, for me to be able to sleep an adequate amount, and two, for us to be able to record. So Josh and I will be back Monday afternoon to record our post-game thoughts about Bills Patriots. We'll have to get Stokes back in the fold sooner rather than later. Stokes, anything you want to leave the people with before we get off?
No, just go Bills.
Go Bills indeed. So for Stokes, I am Luka. We are Bills Chat. We will see you all on Monday.